Grandma settles into her rocking chair, adjusting her shawl with trembling hands that have seen too much. Children, come closer. What I'm about to tell you happened 50 years ago, but I remember it like yesterday. You see this silver locket around my neck? Inside is a photograph of the sister who tried to destroy me. And the secret that saved my life. She pauses, her eyes distant. It was the summer of 1975, and I had just married your grandfather, Thomas, the most sought-after man in our small town of Willowbrook. He owned the largest furniture factory, and every girl for miles around had set her cap at him. But he chose me, Margaret, the shy schoolteacher with nothing but a borrowed wedding dress and dreams in her heart. My sister, Caroline, stood beside me as my maid of honor. She smiled for all the photographs, but I should have noticed how that smile never reached her eyes. I should have seen how her hand lingered on Thomas's arm during the first dance. But I was too happy, too naive, too trusting. 3 months into our marriage, I discovered I was expecting. Thomas was overjoyed. He commissioned a nursery to be built, had the finest crib shipped from New York City, and started a college fund before our baby even drew breath. Those were the happiest days of my life, until Caroline showed up at my door one rainy October afternoon. "I'm pregnant," she said, her voice flat and cold. "And Thomas is the father." I laughed. I actually laughed, children, because it was absurd, impossible. My husband loved me. My sister loved me. But Caroline didn't laugh. She pulled out letters, dozens of them, in Thomas's handwriting, filled with promises and passion. She showed me photographs of them together, taken in secret corners of places I'd never been. "He was mine first," she hissed. "Before you came back from college and stole him with your innocent act. I've been seeing him since before your wedding. That baby you're carrying, he doesn't even want it. He wants mine." I confronted Thomas that night. He didn't deny it. He said he'd made a mistake, that Caroline had seduced him during our engagement, and he'd been too weak to resist. He begged for forgiveness, swore he'd end it, promised to be the husband I deserved. But the next morning I found them together, in our bed in our home. Caroline looked at me with triumph burning in her eyes. "He's leaving you," she said. "The factory, the house, everything. His lawyer is drawing up divorce papers. You'll get nothing." Grandma's voice hardens. I left that house with only my mother's silver locket and the clothes on my back. I had nowhere to go, no money, and a baby growing inside me. I moved into a tiny room above the bakery, working 12-hour days on my feet even as my belly swelled. The whole town whispered behind my back. The Ashford sisters and the scandal that shocked Willowbrook. But here's what Caroline didn't know, what Thomas didn't know. I had a friend. Mrs. Chen, the factory's bookkeeper, had been like a mother to me since I arrived in town. She came to visit me one evening, her face grave. "Margaret," she said, "I need to show you something." She brought me ledgers, years of them. Thomas had been embezzling from his own factory, cooking the books, stealing from investors. He'd lost nearly everything in bad gambling debts. The factory was mortgaged to the hilt, the house was weeks from foreclosure, and there were debts collectors didn't even know about yet. "He's been looking for a way out," Mrs. Chen explained. "If he divorces you and marries Caroline, all the debts stay in his name with you. But when it all collapses, he plans to flee with Caroline to Mexico, leaving you to face the creditors and the scandal." Grandma leans forward, her eyes gleaming. That's when I stopped crying and started planning. I went to every investor Thomas had cheated, every creditor he owed. I showed them the ledgers. I told them about the affair, about the divorce, about Mexico. And I made them an offer. "Help me and I'll help you get your money back." They agreed. We set a trap. I went to Caroline, tears streaming down my face, and I begged her to meet me one last time. "I'll sign the divorce papers," I told her. "But please, for the baby's sake, convince Thomas to give me the Locket factory, that small workshop on the edge of town that makes nothing but pocket watches and lockets. It's worthless, but it was my mother's, and I want my child to have something." Caroline actually smiled. She thought she'd won. Thomas signed it over without question. Why would he care about a failing workshop that barely broke even? Grandma touches her locket. What they didn't know was that the Locket factory sat on the only profitable part of Thomas's entire empire. Mrs. Chen had discovered it in the books. The land beneath that worthless workshop had mineral rights worth a fortune. A mining company had been trying to buy it for years, but Thomas had been too focused on his gambling and his affair to notice the letters piling up. The day Thomas and Caroline tried to flee to Mexico, federal marshals were waiting at the airport. The investors I'd warned had filed charges for fraud and embezzlement. The house was seized, the factory shut down, and Thomas went to prison for 7 years. Caroline. She lost the baby 3 months later. Stress, the doctor said, though I've always wondered if there ever really was a baby at all, or if that was just another lie to break me. She left town in disgrace, and I never saw her again. I sold the mineral rights for enough money to start my own business, a publishing house for women's stories. I raised your grandfather Robert. Yes, children, the man you call Grandpa isn't Thomas, but the kind lawyer who helped me through it all and fell in love with the fighter I'd become, in a home filled with love and honesty. We had 3 beautiful children, and now I have all of you. She opens the locket, showing a faded photo of 2 young women. I keep Caroline's picture in here not because I forgave her, but because I never want to forget the lesson she taught me. Trust should be earned, not given freely, and the greatest revenge is building a life so beautiful that those who betrayed you can only watch from the shadows. Thomas got out of prison eventually. I heard he worked as a janitor until he died, alone and forgotten. Caroline married 3 more times, each husband leaving her when they discovered what kind of woman she truly was. Last I heard, she's living in a retirement home in Florida, with no visitors and no one who cares. And me. I lived a life so full of love and success that their betrayal became nothing more than a story I tell on quiet evenings like this one. Grandma closes the locket with a soft click. Remember, my darlings, those who betray you give you the greatest gift. They remove themselves from your future. The question is, what will you build in the space they leave behind? Grandma's voice softens with warmth. Did you enjoy Grandma's story tonight, dear ones? If you did, show me some love by clicking that like button below. It tells me you want to hear more tales from my long and eventful life. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell, because Grandma has a treasure chest full of stories, and I share a new one with you every single day. Tomorrow night, I'll tell you about the time I discovered my business partner was secretly my childhood friend who'd spent 20 years searching for me. But that's a story for another evening. Until then, sleep well and remember, the best revenge is a life well lived.